All right, everybody. I am so excited, and I've been looking forward to this so much with a new friend that I feel like I've already known. But this is Robin Smit, and so Robin, welcome to Perspectives with Catherine.
Oh, thank you, Catherine, for having me. This will be fun.
Yeah, it's so fun, and we were having a great time, just kind of chatting, getting to know one another. We're like, oh, we might want to get the cameras rolling. It seems like it's always like that. Now, for those of you who don't know Robin, I'm going to give you a little blip of her bio, and then you can kind of ad lib or do whatever. But Robin has a master's in both theology and biblical studies, and is currently working toward her THD. She has a love for Hebrew and Greek languages. She is a best-selling author and founder of the Writers Society, a Grace and Trinitarian publishing company. She and her husband live in both Northern and Southern California. That's interesting. Are you like bilocating? How is that anyway? I was reading that. You go back and forth. Is that what that is?
We do.
Okay.
We divide our time. Yes.
Okay. Sorry. I don't know why I didn't pick that up before. I'd love to travel around the country preaching the good news of it is finished. So it is finished, very Trinitarian, grace focused. Yeah, it's amazing. There's so much we could launch into, but how long have you been tracking with, when did you start your publishing company? I guess
Last year, 1 year ago, last October. Yeah, it's been almost a year.
Wow, it's been explosive. I'm looking at all the people that have lined up. God clearly is doing something here.
Yes.
Amazing. Now, have you always been, now you've had your own best-selling book, correct?
3 of them. Yes.
Three. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. And then what made you want to go from, well, I'm writing and I'm revelating and I'm releasing, to now I'm going to empower others to write and revelate and release? How did that
I started getting messages from people asking, how do I publish a book? How do I write a book? And so I started doing workshops, teaching how to write a book, how to publish, if you're going to self-edit, what you should do. And I did that for maybe 6 months. And then Don Keithley, Don Keithley, and Tommy Miller, both
amazing.
Yes, they are. Both contacted me to see if I was interested in turning their messages into books. And I said, sure, I can do that. And then the Lord just asked me if I would put aside my own writing, because I was in the middle of a book, and empower his people in grace, in publishing these books. And so my husband and I, we decided to do that, and it has been nonstop ever since. We have been extremely busy.
Yeah, that's amazing. And how beautiful is that you're like, I'm working on my own work, and then you lay it aside to empower others in theirs. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And clearly God is like blessing it like crazy. I'm looking at boom, 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 all the things that have come out. It just seems like it's just been kind of an explosion.
It has been an explosion. It's taken me by surprise. I mean, it's the lineup of authors we've had is astounding. We have Malcolm Smith, we have Steve McVey, Lydia DuToit, and in fact, we started the Legacy Society, which is a part of the Writers Society, but it's the nonprofit side. And we have Malcolm Smith, Lydia DuToit, and a new author, John Land, who's working on a book. And we publish their books for free and no cost to them. And in fact, that's what the new book is for. It's to raise money for that. All of the authors have decided to shift their profits into the Legacy Society. So we're excited about that.
Well, since you mentioned it, let's talk about this new book. I just want to say,
okay.
Yeah. Tell us about this new project.
Well, Don Keithley had asked me, maybe we could figure out a way to get some authors to co-author a book on grace giving, and raise money for the Legacy Society. And I thought, well, okay, I can reach out. So I reached out to a variety of people in grace and Trinitarian circles. And I have 10 authors and 11, including myself, that agreed to do it. New authors, they're relatively new. Tommy Miller is only on his second book. Logan Barone is one of them. But then we also have Paul Young, Malcolm Smith, Steve McVeigh, Don Keithley. Gosh, I know I'm forgetting Matt Pandle, Lisa Couture. She's brand new at this, and she gave a chapter. Gosh, I know I'm forgetting somebody. Jason Clark.
Wait,
Boy, it's funny how
Malcolm Smith.
work.
Jason Clark. I think you got him.
Did I get them all? Oh, great. Okay.
I think you got. No one was left out. Oh wait, Paul Golf.
Paul Golf. Oh my gosh, yeah, Paul Golf. Yeah, Paul Golf has a chapter. And the chapters are beautiful. Each of the writers are so unique in their giftings, in their just in the way that they express themselves in their writing. And yet it's such a beautiful tapestry of grace. I mean, it really is. They flow so wonderfully. And I think, with all of the trauma that people have gone through, and the minute you start talking about giving into things financially, it triggers a lot of people.
Trigger word, yeah.
It is a trigger word. And so I'm hoping that with this book, it will promote healing in the body, because giving he is a giver, right? God is a giver, and we're made in his image and likeness. And so we are givers. And we really, Matt Pandle said something the other day, and now I can't remember exactly what he said, but it was something to the effect that we miss out on our divine nature. He didn't say it just like that, but our divine nature in Christ, when we don't give, because we're designed to be givers, Yeah. And so, yeah, I know that's what love looks like. And so I think it's going to be a great book. It comes out next month, and we are really excited.
So October, so we'll be looking for that. And where will it be coming out?
Amazon.
Okay, sweet. So everybody, I'll put the information up there. So, and I love this when we think about it, because the whole concept of giving is really a reflection of love. And so when we hold it in, right, it's like we're not free. And I think one of the things, and I was just meditating on this as you said this, because you said it's such a trigger for so many, because it was there was control with it, there was manipulation with it, there was like somehow you're not going to make it to heaven or whatever the thing is if you're not tithing, yes. Right? Yes. And so in condemnation, and it's kind of like submission. If you're not free not to give, you're not free to give. And yes. Submission is something you give. Love is something you give, and giving is something you give. It's out of your own heart to give, and it's not like controlled. Yes. Where it, so that's healing, because it's healing to not have to give, but it's also healing to give, and the joy of that. It's beautiful. I love that. Yeah. Wow. That's God is doing so much in healing his kids, because I'm going to ask you about kind of your journey, but it sounds like, you've been some places, you've had a journey, and this is kind of impacting in your writing and in the writing that you're championing. Can you give us a little bit about kind of your journey as a believer?
Sure. Well, I didn't get, for lack of a better word, we'll fall back on old language, but I didn't get saved until I was 25. I didn't grow up in church. Oh, you too?
Yeah, 27 didn't grow up in church. Nice. So we're tracking. This is why we're relating so much. I love it. Okay, keep going.
So I didn't grow up in church. I mean, I went occasionally with cousins, but we didn't go. And at 25, I went with some friends and saw something that I didn't have. The woman leading worship, she knew something about love that I didn't know. She knew Jesus, and I didn't know that. And so I didn't know him. And so I went forward, did all of that stuff, got involved in Assemblies of God Church. And in fact, our first pastor was this beautiful man who his entire message was Christ in you, the hope of glory. So we started out with a really amazing foundation. And then we got into Word of Faith churches.
Boy,
which
our
I
journey is
know
so similar. Keep
there
going.
are a lot of people, hurt in those kinds of churches. I wasn't one of them. I'm so thankful for the things that I learned in that. It's brought me to where I am today. And then a friend gave me Steve McVeigh's book. And so I read his book, and then I read the Mirror Bible. Was a little nervous with the Mirror Bible, because it just was different than anything I
Are we
knew.
not getting away? Where's the signature?
I was so afraid to slip into universalism, that I was a little
Right.
nervous. But
Mhm.
I read his Bible, and I would have to read it with another translation, because I'm reading this and thinking, I don't remember these scriptures in the Bible. There's no way I've
Right.
missed them all these years. So I read it with another one, and then I started reading Baxter Kruger's books. And I was in Steve McVeigh's coffee chat room. This was a few years ago, and he was offering, because I believe he was president or vice president of Global Grace Seminary. And so he offered a discount, 50% off tuition. And I thought, well, okay. So I signed up and I did Global Grace, got my master's, wrote a book, just became passionate about the finished work, and wrote a book, and my life just hasn't been the same. It's just, it's been different. That was only maybe 5 years ago. Yeah, not very long.
Well, it's amazing what can happen in a short period of time when your heart is open and you can receive. And one of the things I love about your story, and everybody's story is different. Number one, you were brought up heathen like I was. I'm just tongue in cheek to say this, because I have encounters with God pretty much my whole life. But anyway, so I love this. So there's hope for all of us. It's all good.
There is.
But is the fact that even in your journey through all these different streams, and we went through a lot of the same streams, you're able to see like the value. There's intrinsic value in all of those. I'm not hearing a whole lot of trauma or spin out, just kind of like a flow. And I love the way you honor each, because there is great things in each. And
yes. We did go through one period where we worked with this youth group, and the pastor was quite a bit controlling, and to the point where, he had say in who you married, and your finances, and just really controlling. But that first message we heard of Christ in you, the hope of glory, it really was such a good, strong foundation that it helped us navigate through that season, my husband and I, and we were able to come out of that pretty much uninjured. There were things, of course, we needed to, let go of, ways of thinking, but we weren't broken, and yet there were several people who went through that ministry that did not make it out of that without becoming broken, so that was the only time. Yeah.
Well, and that's amazing that you're able to navigate that. I love that everybody's story is so different, but there's such value in it. You had mentioned kind of, people that were in communities that were controlled, and you were able to navigate because somehow this Christ in you, the hope of glory, has kind of kept you steady in the midst of some really, unhealthy stuff, some really toxic stuff, but other people didn't. And, we have such a diverse community of where people are coming from. And, Matt had actually reached out to me a couple months ago, and Lila Cook and Clint Walker. So we're going to be doing
that's exciting.
And I love that because there's so many different people in their journey. Like, what is that? And some people, it's like, well, we really weren't traumatized except COVID hit. I kind of lost my, my congregation or whatever. But I love the way God is so inclusive with everyone. Like, he meets us wherever we are at in our journey. And just embraces it. It is Christ in me, the hope of glory. There's a lot of hope there. So I love that. That is beautiful. So, what are you learning kind of like in this stage of your life? What is God like highlighting to you that's really exciting? And I'm putting her on the spot because I did not let her prepare.
At this stage of life, just grace, that to let people grow in grace, that everybody, it's a challenge a little bit in publishing books because we are a small company that has we're a small niche, and so we stick with Trinitarian and Christocentric and grace-based, but at the same time, I get manuscripts across my desk, and I definitely want to let people grow in grace. You see their hearts, and maybe they don't believe exactly what I believe about something, for example, about the finished work, but there's grace there, and everybody's at such a different place in their journey. And so I try not to say no to a lot of books that come across my desk just because maybe it's not as Trinitarian focused as maybe Baxter's books are, right? But it's, that's their belief in their heart. And so it's a challenge to just meet them where they're at, and to know that, this book will minister to somebody. They're growing in grace, and there's so many different beautiful, I hate to say levels of grace, but you know what I mean? There's so many different
facets, maybe.
Yes. And so God is so good in that. And he does, you're right, he meets people where they're at. And so finding that balance, I mean, I'm definitely, I have my absolute no's, and that would be anything transactional. I absolutely have to say no to. A book came across my desk, and it was kind of about the end times, and it had a feel to Left Behind, and I had to say no, even though the man's heart is beautiful, and I love that, but I can't produce those kinds of books. So I think he's just highlighting to me in this season how to see past some things and maybe extend grace to other people, not to say no so quickly and to judge things so fast, but to, I tend to chat with the person to find out, and maybe we can work around it, can we maybe change some things in the book that seem to smack of legalism? Can we kind of, especially if they don't have any legalism that they're communicating when they talk to you. So I don't know, is that making sense? You did catch me off guard.
I totally did. I am so sorry. I just just hit you.
Oh, that's okay.
No, that's totally making sense. And what I love about that, because that's a real practical thing, because whether we're meeting someone and we're looking at them, okay, is this work publishable in my heart? Can I in good conscience publish this? Can I extend grace and meet you where you're at in your journey? Because there's value there, even though maybe there's, I maybe journeyed through that and come out on the other side. So I'm seeing it from a different perspective. And wow, isn't this just the way it is with all of us? Like who we're meeting, and it's so important because there are definitely people that are like ahead or whatever. We don't want to make it like, like a hierarchy or something, but just in their development and what they've been able to process, and they're further along, maybe in processing something that we haven't processed. And oh my gosh, we want grace.
Yeah.
Right. And so we're called to extend grace and receive grace while we're all on a journey, and trusting that Christ in them, right? That's working it all out. Yeah, I totally put you on the spot. I'm sorry, I felt bad.
No, you're fine. You're fine. Just wanted to make sure I answered it the way you wanted it answered, because I wasn't. So
I wanted it answered with whatever's going on with you, and you did. I think you did a brilliant job, and that sort of extends to so many different, facets of how we're to walk with one another.
Right?
Yeah. When I first I've been doing ministry for a long time, but when I first started coming out, I was really about, and still grounded in just the scripture that God is love, and then what does that look like? And of course it looks like grace. Of course it looks like finished work. Of course it looks like a lot of the Trinitarian things that we're that we're talking about and the race-based things that we're talking about. And I always retreat back to that. It's really interesting. But I recognize, even going back and looking at, a previous works, I'm like, man, I'm going to have to revise that because I have been growing, but there was value at the time. If we want to publish until we have it all together, no one's going to ever publish anything,
Exactly right. And that would have probably held me back from even publishing a book, because what if I don't believe this later? What if I've grown in grace and my understanding has grown? How am I gonna, now it's out there and it's public, but somebody needs to hear that right where they're at in that part of their journey, and it's going to minister to them. Absolutely. I do believe that.
Yeah, no, absolutely it does. And sometimes if because we're all going through things, and as we're learning, I love the way that God is so gracious. Like, he releases us right where we're at to minister right where we're at, even though, we see through the glass darkly, and that's an ongoing thing. But isn't that beautiful, the way he invites us to give out of what we do know, the light we do walk in, while we're in process and in growing in that. I love that. So, what particular things are sort of coming across your desk? Can we kind of look forward to, new books that are coming out, or other books that you want to highlight that you've published?
Oh yeah, we have children's books are starting to flurry in, and I love that. In fact, I'm working with Lydia on a children's mirror Bible. She's producing a children's mirror Bible. So yeah, and so that's exciting. But I'm getting lots of children's books, or people interested in writing children's books. And then novels, which is, fiction will be great. I love that. And they're not all fiction as in like maybe with a spiritual message. They're just fun. They're just fun books, but the authors behind it, they are very grace-based, and they've just written a fun book. One is a historical fiction book. The other one is a spy. Another one is, science fiction. So it's just fun, and I think we need those books too. Sometimes I like to take a break, from reading just, I hate to say how-to books, but study books for the most part, and just read a fun book. Like, we're going on vacation. I need a fun book in my bag. I don't want my brain full. I just want to relax and just read a book. And so I'm excited to see those come across. And I want to see more of those, but.
Absolutely. Children's books and novels and fiction, which is great, because there's so much we can learn, even unintentionally.
Yes.
In those venues, because it kind of goes in the back door, right? It kind of goes in the back door of, rather than, okay, this theological work, and let's confront these, whatever's, but then kind of goes in the back door in a winsome way. And, one of the things that I love about God, and I don't know if you've experienced this, is that he's so relaxed. And right, he's relaxed, he's fun.
He is.
Right. And I love that. So relax, enjoy your spy fiction.
I know. And when we're writing, our personalities come through, the beliefs in our heart come through, even in a fiction book that maybe doesn't even mention the name of Jesus anywhere in the book, doesn't mention God, but it comes through loud and clear, just in the people and in the situations. And, there is no secular and spiritual, it's it's all in Christ, right? Yeah. He is all in all. So,
well, and I think some of the most powerful movies and things like that really speak to in the spiritual realm, not in Christ terms, but in Christ terms, without the name, right? Really are able to minister people and to reach people that we would not be able to do in the church. I mean, some of the craziest films we have that are not ministering, we've done in the church, but when we've let God move through, when God just moves through people outside the church, quote unquote, I use that in quotations because we're all in, but and it can speak to people that would not normally, call themselves a Christian, that are tracking to something that's very Christ-like. Yeah.
Absolutely. Steve McVeigh is wonderful at that. He seems to be able to bridge all of those divides, and reach people that maybe would not even pick up one of my books, but they'll pick up his book on quantum, which he has another one coming out next month on quantum prayer. So that'll be really good. Yeah.
I was just actually talking to him this morning because we're setting up an interview on the quantum, what is it, the quantum life. He's done quantum faith, quantum life, and now he's got quantum prayer. Okay.
Yes. It'll be out, I believe, mid-October or October 8th, one of those dates. Yeah, it'll be coming out soon.
And that's another book that you're publishing, is that correct?
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
my goodness.
Yeah. Most of my authors do 3 or 4 books a year. Don Keithley does at least 3 or 4. So does Steve. Logan has a new book coming out next spring. Nice. Yeah, Tommy has another one coming out in January.
He just released book, so that's fun. Yeah, keep going. Sorry.
Yeah, he just did Transfigured too. So he just came out with that one, and then he has another one in January. And then we have brand new authors coming out next year that I had to push back to 2024, but we have 16 authors right now.
Oh my gosh, this is like a team of happy people.
Oh, and it's like a family. It really is. It's fun, and we do champion each other and get excited about each other's books and promote them, and everybody shares it on their social media sites, and it's fun. And I don't know, it's just a great group of people, and we started with 2, just Tommy and Don, and it has grown so much, and they're hitting #1 bestsellers on Amazon, which honestly, I have no idea how my authors are hitting those. I've never even hit that, but I don't know how they're doing it because, if you study it, it should take a number of sales to hit bestseller. Yes. And I don't know that they've hit that number, that magic number to hit it. And yet they're hitting bestseller, #1 bestseller. I truly think it's the God factor. I do. I think God is just pushing them to the forefront in the lists of the bestseller list. And so when you bump John MacArthur and you went ahead of him, that's exciting, right?
That is exciting. I know. God is so on this, and he wants this message out to his kids. So it's like, yeah, we'll work around that. We can work through Amazon and hit bestseller when we haven't sold whatever the numbers are.
Absolutely.
I love it. That's so exciting. That is so exciting. And that's also because of what you're doing, with all this hard work. It sounds like, this sounds exhausting to me. Are you like, okay? Are you like able to pace yourself? Because this is like, wow.
I do. We're going on vacation next week for 2 weeks. So I do pace myself. There's times it's really, 12-hour days, but for the most part I pace myself. I have a couple of freelancers that I now work with who do proofreading for me, so I don't have to do that. I'm always looking for freelancers in editing and even ghostwriting. I would love to get some freelance ghostwriters. Only requirements would be, being grace-based, of course, and just an understanding of the finished work, and so it's not transactional, and it's challenging to find people to fill those spots, but slowly but surely God's bringing them in, and yeah, it's fun. We're building a team. So
that's incredible. I'm glad to hear that, because with everything you're doing, which is so wonderful, I want to make sure you're okay. Ministry is absolute ministry, and so it can be a lot. So I'm glad you're sort of pacing yourself and going on vacation.
I do. And my husband's great. He's such a champion for me. He's always in my corner, and he's my, biggest cheerleader, and always encouraging me to do things, to step out of my comfort zones. I failed public speaking in school. I was awful at it, and I couldn't. The first time I did Bible study, I thought I was going to throw up everywhere. It was just terrible at it. And now I'm really comfortable. I love it. I love interacting with people. We go ministering around the country, you know, when we're invited, and that's so fun. We'll be in Virginia this coming week, and we're ministering at a church there, and we'll be in Knoxville in November ministering there. And so it's just fun. We enjoy that. We thoroughly enjoy, and my husband ministers as well. So it's not just, you know, he's not carrying my bags and, you know, coming with me. I mean, I told him, you do this one. I just want to sit in the front row and do that. Yes, amen. You know, so
that's wonderful. What a team. And that's beautiful how God kind of makes that work in really kind of a unique thing. So you're really sort of walking this out in multiple, not only your publishing, but also speaking and partnering with your husband and all of the things you're doing. That is, that's amazing. So, if there's one thing kind of that you're tracking with right now, that you really want to share, and you mentioned a lot about sort of grace-based, non-transactional. Would you mind kind of sharing for some of the people, audience that maybe new, that may not understand what you mean by transactional? Because I think a lot of people, boy, we struggle with that. We're so transactional outside of the mind of Christ, right? And so what does that really mean? Do you want to just share a little bit about what you mean by that? You said it multiple times. I thought, ooh, let's get that highlighted.
And we have our little pet language, don't we?
Wow.
Transactional to me is just an if and then. You know, it's that old covenant language of, if I do this, God will do this. If I'm faithful, he will anoint me more, or he will give me favor, or I will be, you know, financially prosperous if I'm obedient and if I do what he says, and you know what I mean? And so it's always an if and then. If I do something, God will in return respond to me and do something. If I don't, then he can't move, you know, he can't do anything. And that's so untrue. God is he has poured out everything for us. I mean, we have everything that pertains to life and godliness. I mean, there's nothing left out of the equation. When Jesus said it was finished, it was truly finished. There is nothing more we're waiting on. We're not waiting for a future resurrection. We're not waiting for a future redemption. You know, we were co-resurrected with him, in him. We are co-seated right now. There is not a higher position you can have. We're co-seated. We have it all. We just need to wake up and say, you know what? This is who I am. This is what belongs to me. And this is what my life needs to look like. And not in a striving way, but just a, you know, if he says I'm healed, then I'm healed. And so I'm not going to make room for sickness in my life. I'm not going to make room for talking about sickness. And oh my gosh, those commercials on TV, I mute them every time, you know, that tell you, if you have this disease, take this medication. And that medication is horrible because it's going to do a whole host of other things. But anyway, I don't make room for that. I don't make room for death language, you know, lack language, you know, because I lack nothing. And so I'm continually reminding myself of that. I do think there will come a time where we don't have to remind ourselves of that. But in the meantime, you know, we walk in a world where you hear things all the time. There's a constant noise and conversation going on about what we lack and what our bodies lack and what we need to do to be healthy. And it's not that I'm opposed to those things, but I have it all already on the inside. I just need to realize that and walk in it.
And that's beautiful. And part of that grace, I love that. Thank you. I know that is helping someone. And part of that grace is like to be able to actually connect with it, because we're filled with so many messages that counter that. And that, you know, kind of in the fallenness of how we operate as human beings, we're really connected and attached to death and lack and all of that. And God is saying, oh, you're my son, you're my daughter. No, we're up here. I've already taken that for you and given you all of me. We're not waiting to get more of him and all of that. And but
We
it's
are face
beautiful.
to face, right? Face to face with him all the time. Even if you're not looking directly at him, he is still so face to face with you, just waiting for you to open your eyes and say, oh my goodness, like Jacob, you were here in this place all along. I just didn't know it, right?
I love that. And I love that language of knowing and awakening, because
Yeah,
it's already true. So if it's already true, we don't make it true with our faith. We don't make it true with anything we do. We don't earn it. We just wake up to it and start to know in our knowers. Yeah.
that's right. That's right.
Yeah. One of the things that really helped me, because I also came from that word of faith background, there's so much I'm grateful for there. But one of the ditches I got into is this sort of striving to confess it and to work it and to find the tools to make it happen. So I believed and had enough faith and got into a real grind. And one of the things that the Lord really pulled me back in my understanding of it was that, number one, we just recline back into it. And it's this awakening. I don't work it to make it happen.
That's right.
I just wake up, and he's the one to help us,
That's
yeah.
And it's exhausting walking in that, right?
It's so
Striving for it is exhausting. But there's also a truth in it, confessing it, homologeo, saying what he says, it absolutely does work, because, and I think the reason it works is because you're saying it, and after a while you start to believe it. You start to awaken to the reality of it. Wait a second, you said I'm healed. If I'm healed, I'm healed, but at the same time, it's such a striving, and it's such a transactional work. I mean, it's just, if I confess this, if I get my list of scriptures together, then God, you will do this. And instead of realizing, no, he's already done it, there's just nothing more I can add to it.
Yeah. It's so funny because in that I used to literally for like 2 hours, I had my whole list and it was this thick pad, and every day I would confess, and it totally had life on it until it didn't.
Yeah, exactly.
And after a while, it was striving, and I was like, what is wrong with me? Why I felt like such a bad Christian, because I was like, it was like eating rocks after a while. And so
right, it worked last time, but it didn't work this time. Why did
the magic formula?
I must have done something wrong. I must be in sin. Oh yeah, condemnation and guilt heaps on you. That's
goodness. But he invites us into rest. Like, baby, it's already finished. Just like, I'm glad you got that in you. And now we've moved from that to something. I want you to rest in what you know, in your knower, right? While I'm awakening you for everything that's kind of struggling against that or having a hard time. Oh, it can't be that good. And so
absolutely.
I love that. So yeah, that's so funny that you mentioned that, because it's interesting, because I've just read Don Keathley's new book, let's see, Quantum, I want to get the right one, Life. And
Steve McVeigh.
Yeah, Steve, I'm sorry, what did I say? I did Don Keathley, sorry. Steve McVeigh. Yeah. Sorry. But I just read that, and what's so funny, what came up in me, because there's so much of this operating from this quantum internal realm and speaking the creative potential of what God's put in you. And it was interesting, and I had to sort of butt up against sort of this, but where does that differ from the kind of confession striving, and so I think there's a tweak of where we come from in it. And what we're not trying to confess to get there. We're confessing because we are there, right?
That's right.
Would you say that? Yeah.
Yeah, we're definitely confessing from a place of, this is already mine. I already have this. I'm not confessing it, God, so you will do something for me. And if I confess it faithfully enough, if I confess it long enough, if I'm loud enough, maybe you'll hear me in heaven. No, it's, I'm confessing this, and it's really thankfulness, Really? Thank you, Dad. Thank you, Dad, that I'm already healed, that my body is already healed. And your mind saying, that's not true. You woke up this morning feeling like this, the doctor said you have this, you're on medication for that. No, thank you, Dad, that I am already healed. And the nice thing about confession, when it's done from a position of rest, is it goes in your ears and it goes down into your heart. And it comes back out of your mouth and it goes in your ears and it comes down in your heart. And after a while, I don't know, there's just this like a switch. It just switches. And all of a sudden you go from, thank you, Dad, that you've said this, to just, oh my goodness, Dad, I'm totally healed, and then I do believe now your soul area has aligned with what your spirit knows to be true, and your body will just come in alignment. It's just that simple. But I think we give up too quickly. We start, oh, okay, all right, so Steve's saying this about quantum and about confession, and I'm going to try it. And then your brain says, yeah, but this. And then you do it again. Yeah, but this. And then you just give up. Yeah, you give into the yeah, buts. Yeah, but the doctor did say this, just keep at it. There will be a switch. I promise. It really does. It's kind of, I don't know, it's like those gears turning, and all of a sudden that soul area lines up with the spirit, and it's just so harmonious. It's just so beautiful and effortless. And then give it time, and your body, we didn't get here overnight, right? Some of the places we're in, some of the struggles we have, it wasn't an overnight thing. We're talking years of believing a certain way, having those neural pathways that have, like, I call it a rut. My dad got mad at me the other day. He said, it's not a rut. I said, well, it kind of is, but it creates this.
Yeah.
It creates this rut in our thinking, and we've got to create new pathways. And to create new pathways in our brain take time, and we need to be patient with ourselves and give grace to ourselves, and not fall back on, oh man, what am I doing wrong? Why isn't this working? We really have to let go of the language of why isn't this working, and start embracing the language of, you know what? It is working. I am. The language of I am, not the language of I am not, right? And just keep at that. It takes time, but you'll get there.
Yeah.
We all will.
And that's the point. And one of the things that I love about what you're saying, that the Lord really ministered to me, is this being patient with myself in the process. So sometimes it's not even that that we go from this place where we think it's transactional and earning it, and then maybe we go from the place that we know it's true, but I'm frustrated myself that my soul was like fighting this, or that I'm having a yeah but. And I think it's important to be patient and kind with yourself in your yeah buts, while you're changing it to, I may have these symptoms in my body, but you get your butt in the right place, right? And so, right. And so we're patient and kind in the learning process, while we're giving ourselves the time.
Yes.
We're giving ourselves the grace. We're giving ourselves it's okay if you're struggling with this. We're just working it out. God is patient with us wherever we're at in our journey, and is asking us to love ourselves as he loves us, and then love one another. And so loving ourselves means I'm patient. I give myself grace. I'm not this big critic that it hasn't clicked for me yet. I'm in the process of working that in, and that's a beautiful.
Absolutely.
And God is journeying with us, with us at the time, right?
It's not a mental exercise, it is really going within and listening to him, and agreeing with what he is saying about us, and if you're having trouble hearing and really focusing on hearing what he's saying, it's okay to write some things down, just some great affirmations. We'll let go of the word confession because that can trigger people. Some good affirmations down, and to begin saying those. Just start with I am this, I am brave, I am confident, I am healed, I am whole, I am complete, and just after a while, I really believe you're going to hear the Holy Spirit on the inside begin to agree with you, because you're agreeing with him, and it's just going to overflow. It really isn't a mental exercise.
That is so good. It's like God is so for us. He's like championing us. And say it, just say what I'm saying. And if you haven't actually heard me say it for yourself, say what you know to be true from that, and you will hear my voice championing you in it, because he's so for his kids.
He
source,
really
right?
is.
Right.
And find somebody that is farther along than you that is saying these things and begin parroting them for a while. Say what they're saying. And after a while, it switches to where all of a sudden now it's your language, it's your words, it's what you know to be true on the inside, you know?
Yeah, it's so beautiful. And this is why these books and these messages are so important, because we're kind of sitting at the feet of people who really grappled with it. And then you sit at their feet long enough and you start to process it and work it into your system in a way. And it actually becomes yours because it is yours. The message
Yes.
was theirs from God, and it's a message for you from God. So we grab a hold of it. And it's almost like we're walking in their updraft. They're going before us, right? And they're creating a grace for us to move
Yes,
forward in the same revelation. And he
that's right.
excludes no one.
No,
We're all in. I love that.
there's no us in them, right? It's
Mhm.
just, there's just one body.
Yeah.
That's right.
One body, one spirit, one faith.
That's right.
It's beautiful, beautiful oneness. Well, is there anything else that practically uh as people are kind of struggling with this, and I do a ton of coaching and mentor people and all that kind of thing, and all levels of grappling with their spiritual walk and their relationship with themselves, their relationship with God, they're walking things out in their life. But for the beginner, is there anything else, any other like little gems that you would recommend as people are kind of grappling with these things, grappling against transactionalism, grappling against striving, grappling against, well, that's great for you, but what about me? All of that.
Well, when I was teaching on my book, I Am Healed, I get a lot of questions on, how do I walk this out, because this is what's going on in my body, and some of it's really bad, and some of it's really hard and really challenging. And, I just really encourage them to have grace on themselves, and to walk through it with grace and patience, and to begin to say, as you're headed to the doctor, this is my last visit to the doctor. Well, what happens if I have to go again? You know what? This is my last visit to the doctor, because eventually it'll start to resonate on the inside of you, and it'll just be an overflow. It'll be an outflow. It'll just there's all of these quantum things like vibrations and all of it, and it will just it'll start to manifest in your life to where all of a sudden the doctor says, you're looking great, you're doing better, I don't think you need to come and see me for another year. Okay, we'll go the next year, and this is the last time I'm going to the doctor. And eventually I think you'll start to live out that reality in your life. We are masters of our own destiny, not apart from God, in tandem with him. We co-create our destinies with him. He's made us that powerful with his power, right? That's on the inside of us. It's his life on the inside of us. So it's never apart from him. But we're masters of all. We decide what our reality looks like, and there's only one reality, and it's his. But we decide if we're going to partner with that by aligning our thoughts with what he says is true. So as you have to take that Advil or something, or medication for whatever it is in your body, this is the last time I'm going to do that. I'm getting to a place where I don't need that anymore in my life. If you're going to maybe therapy, for things you're going through, I'm going to get to a place in my life where I'm not going to need that anymore. I'm listening to him, and he's healing me on the inside, and he's healing all those wounds. And I'm going to get to the place where I'm the one ministering this to somebody else, and I don't need to come and sit under this anymore. And you just keep reminding yourself gently, not in condemnation, not judgmentally, but gently, this is not who I am. As I'm taking a pill for diabetes, this is not who I am. I am not diabetic. I don't own that identity. I am made in his image and likeness. And we really have to learn to let go of false identities, and false identities creep in little things like I'm a cancer survivor. I'm not a cancer survivor. I am made in the image and likeness of God. It doesn't make my life less noble to not be a cancer survivor. I'm in his image and likeness. I am powerful. I'm strong. I'm whole. I'm complete. This is who I am. That's my only identity. And letting go of all of those false, distorted identities that kind of creep in our lives. I'm struggling financially. I'm broke. I'm predisposed to arthritis because my grandmother had arthritis. No, that's not who I am. I'm image and likeness of him. If it doesn't fit in his image and likeness, then we need to let those things go because it's not who we are, right? That's my two.
I love that. Oh my goodness. Well, and so much of it does stem from identity. Like,
Yes.
Who is God saying you are? I know the doctor said this, and I know your family history said this, and I know your checkbook is saying this, or all the symptoms are trying to say this, but what is God saying?
That's right.
About you, and then grabbing a hold of that. And I love that because there's so much power in it.
Right. I mean, those are facts, maybe, and facts are subject to change. The truth will never change. What your checking account says may be a fact, but it's not the truth of who you are. It's not the truth of your life. And if we keep saying it, our lives will line up with that. And I truly recommend Steve's book, Quantum Life, Quantum Faith. I mean, if church language isn't your thing, and if confession you've been triggered by, and it's like, Robin, you're from Word of Faith, and I still hear that coming out in your language, which is probably true, then pick up Steve's books. He has a whole different, he did not come out of Word of Faith background, I promise. He does not have that language.
Right. And that's so amazing too. And I love the way that God is like taking that and kind of redeeming it, like we're tweaking it. This is the heart of what it is that has life.
Yes.
Thriving.
Yes.
Regardless from which camp you came from or what your background is or all of that. This is you as a son and daughter operating out of the overflow of who you are. Right. And that's beautiful. It's so powerful. And then we get to walk into kind of the prophetic significance of what we're saying. Like, what is he saying? This is what I'm saying. And then you walk into that, which is incredible. Wow, so powerful. Yay.
So good.
This is making us happy. It's a good message when you're happy.
I know. There's life, right? Yeah.
It's absolute life. Well, awesome. Well, wow. So Robin, where can people find you and all the good things you're doing? I don't want to open the floodgates of, I want to be honoring in terms of not offering things that you're like, I have limited ability or whatever, but where can they come find you? What you're doing?
I have two websites, Robin Smit, no H, SMIT.com, and then I have the writerssociety.online that you can reach me at. And of course on Facebook, I'm on Facebook. So yeah.
Yay. Well, that's awesome. Well, this has been so much fun. We kind of touched on a lot. Usually there's a general theme in it, but so much and so many different facets kind of the same message. I love it. It's been a joy. Thank you for joining me. And I hope
likewise. Yes, I definitely will. This is fun. Thank you so much.
Well, awesome. Well, everybody share this with someone. Someone needs this at whatever level they're or wherever they are in their walk, with it that way. Someone needs this, so share it. And thank you for joining in. And thank you once again, Robin. It's been amazing.
Oh, thank you, Catherine.
You guys have a great day.